Hey everyone, welcome back to Pawpaw's Workshop. Today I want to talk about the Starbond glue that I use in the shop all the time. I get so many different questions about it that people ask, why do I like it so much and how can it benefit people in the shop? And guys, this is one amazing glue. I want to be able to show you a number of the tips and tricks that I use in my shop all the time with the Starbond glue. The first method I want to talk about is the glue and tape method of holding down the material on the CNC machines. This works great. It eliminates the clamps and it makes it where the CNC doesn't have anything to be able to hit on because there's no clamp sticking up above the material. And simply all you do is put the blue tape onto your project board. As far as the wasteboard, you'll put a matching piece of tape right down onto the wasteboard. And one of the little tricks that I like to do is take the project board and set it up right where it would be flipping over and going on there, but this gives me the alignment because this way I don't have to measure anything. I just simply align the tape up where the project board is, start putting down the tape on the wasteboard, and finish laying it out. Just that simple. This is one of the reasons that I like the method. One, it holds extremely well, and two, it is simple. Now you'd like to use the medium Starbond glue or the thick Starbond glue for this, and it takes very little. All you do is just put a little stream of the glue down onto the tape. Typically I will put the glue on the wasteboard tape, and that works out real well. From there, I'm going to take and spray the accelerator onto the project board itself. And again, it doesn't take much, just a light spray, and that's all that's necessary. The next step is just push this project board right down onto the other part of the blue tape. And that creates a good tight bond with the two pieces of tape with that glue in the middle. And after just a moment, good and solid, and that's it. There is nothing else to it. Now this is super easy. Most people overthink it and they use way too much glue and way too much tape to be able to hold it down. It's not necessary. Again, for this method, I typically will use the medium or the thick CA glue to be able to use this as a hold down. The only time that I use more is if I have a cutout, because I do not use tabs. I'll use a piece of tape to be able to catch that so it doesn't fly around on the machine. And it holds extremely well. Number two is I use the Starbond glue to be able to stabilize the knots. I don't care what wood that you get, whether it's a hardwood or a softwood such as this, sometimes those knots just are not stable. And to be able to solve the problem, I used the thin Starbond glue. Now the first step to this method is to take some very fine sawdust and pack it into the knot and get as much in there as you can. And then just take a few drops of the Starbond glue, put it right over that knot, spray it with the accelerator, and then look at your results. Oftentimes, one time will take care of it. Other times, that CA glue and that sawdust actually soaks in even further, and you'll still have a little bit of a hole left, or that knot may not be completely stable. Just repeat the process. Pack it again with the sawdust, a couple of drops of the CA glue, and spray it with the accelerator, and do this until you can sand it and it's perfectly smooth. Now this I use all the time on different hardwoods. Most common with the pine, as you see here, but I also use it for the walnut and some of the other hardwoods. Another thing that you have available to you with the Starbond CA glue is colors. Now this is a brown CA glue, and it is perfect to be able to fill in this knot. Now this knot was actually rather stable, but you could see the little cracks in it, but it didn't have the void and it wasn't loose yet. So just by taking the brown CA glue, I could fill in those cracks, and that was really all that was necessary. Now this knot was filled with the brown CA glue, and I haven't sanded it yet, but you can actually see that it really matches the color well. And just to show you, after taking the sander for just a couple of minutes over this area, you can see how that just really blends in, and you can never tell that there was a crack in that knot at all. This is absolutely perfect, and now you can continue with your project. Now this is one of my favorite wood saving methods right here. This is a huge gouge in the edge of this wood. In years past, I would have had to just cut this away and not be able to utilize that portion of the wood. Now I can save it. Put a piece of tape right along the edge. This creates a form, if you will, because this is a very deep gash. Then take the sawdust and really pack it in. Pack in as much as you can and get it as tight as you can. From there, take the Starbond CA Glue, and I'm using the thin, and just drop a few drops over on top of that big gash. Now that will soak down and bond all of that sawdust together with the wood itself. Now more than likely you're going to have to repeat this step 1, 2, maybe even 3 times. All depends on how big that gash is. The good thing about it is you can a little sand in between and judge how you're doing. And once it's starting to look really, really good, you can take the tape off and finish shaping it and completely rebuild that surface, and you will never know that there was a gash there. This method works great, and I hope you'll be able to have an opportunity perhaps to use it in your shop. Number 4 is a given, and I bet you were waiting for me to say this one. Yes, I do use the Starbond glue simply as glue to be able to hold the little small projects like this together and to be able to have very fast assembly time to keep the projects moving. Few drops of CA glue, it penetrates into the wood, and spray it with the accelerator, and it dries almost instantly. And that way you can continue moving on, assembling your project and completing it in record time. Number 4 can be a definite lifesaver. I would imagine that everybody from time to time have had a cabinet door, for an example, where the screws have pulled out. And it's left a great big nasty hole, and that screw will not fit back into it. Well, there's an easy solution to be able to solve this problem, and that's with baking soda and CA glue. Now the process is very simple. Clear off all the broken up material, get it all out of there so it leaves you a great big hole. Then pack that hole with the baking soda. Fill it all the way completely full. Once that is done, take the Starbond thin CA glue, and we're going to just drop a few drops right on top of that baking soda. Doesn't take a lot. That's going to soak all the way through and bond that baking soda with that wood and create a rock solid hard material that you're going to be able to screw into again to be able to put the hinges on that door, or again, whatever you happen to have. But this really, really works well. A little light sanding just to be able to make sure that the surface is completely smooth, and you have a perfect finish now. And this is really great. If you have a cabinet door where those hinges were pulled out, you don't want to have to throw away the cabinet door. This is an easy fix to be able to salvage that and become a hero in the house with the wife. And just to show you, I'm going to take the screw and screw that right back into the center of this baking soda and the Starbond glue. And you can see that is very hard, and it just works perfect. Just to show you, we'll take the screw out, and you can see just how that works absolutely fantastic. You got a tiny little hole there, and you can just screw it right back in. So if you had the hinges, easy fix. Now, did you ever have a towel rack or something attached to the sheetrock and it pulled out and it left a great big huge hole, and you did not want to have to move that to someplace else? You wanted to be able to keep that towel rack in the bathroom at that same location? How do you fix the hole in the sheetrock? Real simple. And you probably never heard of this one before. But take some cotton, stuff that cotton into the hole, pack it as tight as you can, fill it completely full. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to add just a few drops of the CA glue and let that cotton get totally soaked with the thin Starbond CA glue. And then spray it with the accelerator, and in just a matter of a few moments, it's going to be as hard as a rock, and you're going to be able to put that towel rack or whatever it is back on the wall. And that surface is hard as a rock, and you're going to be able to put the screw directly into that cotton with the Starbond CA glue. I like to just barely touch it up with sandpaper just to make sure that it's completely smooth, and that's all that's necessary. Don't forget, you don't want to damage the paint, but that is now as hard as a rock and ready to be able to attach whatever fixture that you have. So let's test it out now. We'll take a screw and screw it directly back into the center of that hole. This is actually stronger than the original drywall itself. So I can pull on it, tug on it, twist it, bend it, and it's not coming out. So that is a fantastic method to be able to solve your drywall repair problems. Now the last tip I want to show you is actually a pen. I'm going to get this up close in the camera so that you can see this. This is a finish done by the Starbond CA Glue. It is crystal clear. It really shows off the wood, and what's nice, this finish will last for years and years. I have a pen that I use just about every single day, and I've had it for years, and I use it constantly, and the finish has never worn off with the CA glue. I will have to say this, the finish on the metal parts did wear out, and I had to replace them once, but as far as a CA finish, never once has it had any type of defect at all. So this type of finish with the CA glue is actually an outstanding choice. Well, there you have it, a number of my tips and tricks to be able to use the Starbond glue. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and give me that thumbs up, and don't forget, while you're there, hit that little subscribe button down there, because it really does help me out. Now, these are not the only things that I do with the Starbond glue. There's so many other things that I use, but these were the main ones that I use on a regular basis that I think will benefit you and help you in your shop. So again, thank you. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. I've got quite a few coming up, and you're not going to want to miss out. So for now, bye-bye. I'll see you soon.